Hey, Infotech students, this is Mrs. Pancoke. I am recording lesson 5 for those of you who need to use it. So you can follow along in your textbook and have Word open, or you can view the video and have your Word screen open as you go along. Hopefully this will help some of you. So to start with, you need to open up your proposal document out of your data files. I'm going to turn on my Show Hide button, and it says to delete the extra blank lines above USA heading. So I'm just going to delete with my keyboard. And then step 3, on the Layout tab in the Page Setup group, click the drop-down arrow to display the Margins button. So Layout tab, Margins button. I'm going to click on Narrow, and all of my margins are going to change to 0.5 inches. Okay, then it says in the Page Setup group, click the drop-down arrow to display Margins menu, and I'm going to click on Custom Margins. All right, there's my dialog box. We're going to go down, and it says change the bottom left and right margins to 1 inch. Left, bottom, right to 1 inch, and my top margin to 2 inches. Click OK. We're going to save as, draft proposal file, save as. Go to my folder. Lesson 5. Save it as draft proposal. Click Save. All right. In the Page Setup group of the Layout tab, click the drop-down arrow to display orientation. We're going to change it to Landscape. Okay. Step 3, click the File tab and click Print Preview. Print to preview the document. Okay, so it should look like this. Click the Return to Document button, this arrow, and we're going to save as Draft 1 Proposal. Save. Okay, I'm on page 94. Step number 1, use the same document. In the Page Setup group of the Layout tab, click the drop-down arrow to change orientation back to Portrait. And I'm going to change my page size. I'm going to change it to Legal. Go to the File, Print to preview your document. You can see it looks, the pages are longer when you choose Legal size. Okay. Click the Return to Document button. Click the Layout tab. Choose the document, and we're going to change it back to Letter. Okay. And we're going to save as and save the lesson as Draft 2 Proposal. Save. Okay, I'm now on page, we're going to insert page breaks next. So I'm on page 95, step number 1, delete all the blank lines above proposal description. I'm just going to highlight them all, and I'm going to press delete. Okay, on the Insert tab, so my insertion point should be in front of P and Proposal still. On the Insert tab in the Pages group, click the Page Break button. And we're going to click Page Break right here. Scroll up to the first page and notice that the page break mark is right here. Should be similar to what you see in your picture. Now, scroll down and position the insertion point in front of the O in option 1. And on the Layout tab, in the Page Setup group, we're going to click the drop-down arrow by breaks. And I'm going to insert another page break. Okay, scrolling down, option 2 says repeat steps 5 and 6. So I'm going to click on breaks button and choose that as well. Okay, now for this third option, we're going to try something different. It says position in front of the O in option 3 heading and press the Control Enter button. Okay, so when I press Control Enter, it is a manual page break. So I should still have my page break, and notice I should have 5 pages right now. Okay, so if I scroll up, each of these options are on a separate page, and my heading is up here at the top. I'm going to save the document as Draft Proposal 3. Notice I'm saving in my Lesson 5 folder. Save. Click the View tab, and we're going to change the view to Draft View. Okay, return. So as you can see, here's my draft view. I'm going to return to the print layout view. Okay, and it goes back to this. Okay, scroll to the second page and notice the manual page break marker. So I can tell I'm on page 2 based on my page numbers down here. Notice the manual page break marker. So it should look like this picture, okay? On page 2, select the page break mark. I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to press the backspace key to delete it. Scroll up to page 1, select the page break mark, and I'm going to press the backspace key. It says select the remaining page break markers and delete them. So I'm going to highlight this, press delete on my keyboard. Highlight this one, press delete. Okay. Keep the document open without saving the changes made in the last 3 steps. Scrolling down, I'm on page 97. Use the document that is open. I'm going to press Control Home on my keyboard, Control plus Home. It moves me to the top of my document, and it says position the insertion point after relocation proposal. On the Layout tab in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click the Breaks button, and this time I'm going to choose a continuous section break. Okay, I should see something like this right now on my screen. It says section break continuous. It is not a page break, it just allows for formatting changes to be made to different sections of your document. Then it says position the insertion point on the blank line before P in prepared for. It's right here. And on the Layout tab in the Page Setup group, I'm going to click the Breaks button, and I'm going to put Next Page. If I scroll up, I should see Section Break, Next Page, similar to what you see in the picture. Position the insertion point before O in Option 1 heading. I'm going to click the Breaks button, and I'm going to choose Next Page. Step 10, place the insertion point on page 1 and select the 3-line heading to include blank line below. So I'm going to highlight this like that. And now I'm going to click the dialog box launcher in the Page Setup group. Step 12, on the Margins tab, I'm going to change my margin, top margin, from 2 to 1 inch. In the lower corner, notice that the Apply To should say Selected Sections. And then I'm going to click on the Layout tab, and in the Page Vertical Alignment section, I'm going to change this to say Centered. This is how I can change my alignment of vertical text. So when I click OK, my heading right here should move to the center of my page. Okay, click the File tab, click Print to preview what your document looks like. Okay. The remaining pages should be the same. It should look something like this. Okay. I'm going to click the Return to Document button. Position the insertion point anywhere on page 3. This is page 3. I'm just going to click anywhere. And I'm going to choose the Page Setup dialog box launcher. I'm going to choose Margins. And I'm going to change my top margin to 1 inch. And I'm going to click OK. So pages 3 and 4 should change their margins to 1 inch because I have these section breaks. This first page should still have a 2-inch margin. Okay. The section breaks allow me to format only the pages that are left. Okay. So I'm going to save as, and I'm going to save it as draft for proposal. Save. Okay. Remove each of the section breaks that you have applied. So I have to scroll up. I'm going to simply click in front of my section break, and I'm going to press the delete key on my keyboard. Scroll up. I'm going to remove this section break by pressing delete, and this one right here, delete. Okay. On the first page, position the insertion point before P and prepared for. On the Layout tab, in the Page Setup group, click the Breaks button. And I'm going to choose Even Page to start a new section on the next even numbered page. Okay. Step 25. Position the insertion point before the O in option 1. On the Layout tab in the Page Setup group, we're going to click the Breaks button, and I'm going to choose Odd Page. Okay. So section breaks have been inserted for both even and odd pages. Save the document as Draft 5 Proposal. Save. And then close this file. All right. Scrolling down, now we're going to do some widow and orphan control. Okay. A widow is the last line of a paragraph that appears as a single line of text at the top of a page as shown. And an orphan is the first line of a paragraph that appears alone at the bottom of a page as shown. So this little word right here is a widow. And an orphan is the first line of a paragraph. So that would be this line is an orphan. Okay, so we're going to open up the document checking. So I'm going to go in here, data files, lesson 5, checking. Okay, I'm going to close out of this, enable my editing. Scroll to the top of page 2. Be right here. This is a widow. Okay, on page 1 of the document, place the insertion point anywhere in the paragraph under preferred checking. So I can just click anywhere in this paragraph, and I'm going to click the dialog box launcher. Okay, and then I'm going to click on Line and Page Breaks tab, and I want to click the checkbox that says Widow Orphan Control. Okay, when I click OK, notice that Experience is no longer a widow. It has this line that is sticking with it. Okay, I'm going to File, Save As, go to my Lesson 5 folder, and I'm going to change this as Checking Choices 1. Save. Okay, leave this document open. Now we're going to insert columns. So it says change the left and right margins to 1. So I go to Page Layout, Margins, Custom Margins. I want to change my left and right margins to 1, so I'm going to change that and click OK. All right. On the Layout tab in the Page Setup group, place the insertion point in front of the F in free checking. That'll be right there. Okay. We're going to click the Columns menu. And I'm going to select the 2 option. Okay, so my document should have created 2 columns. I'm going to save the document as Checking Choices 2. Save. Okay, now we're going to format columns. So position the insertion point in front of F in free checking. On the Layout tab, in the Page Setup group, click the drop-down arrow by columns, and we're going to choose More Columns. In the Number of Columns box, type 3, and we're going to click the line between checkbox. Click OK. Notice that we have 3 columns. On the Layout tab, change the orientation to Landscape. Change the paper size to legal. Click the margins, and then click Custom Margins. Change our top and bottom margins to 0.5. Click OK. Step 10. Click OK. The document now fits on one page. If I were to make the screen bigger, all of my text should be on one page. Okay. Place the insertion point in front of V in value checking. Click the drop down arrow on breaks, and we're going to insert a column break. Value should move to the top over there. Place the insertion point in front of P in preferred checking, and we're going to put in another column break. Okay. Click and drag to select the 2 headings beginning with First Bank and Preferred Checking. Okay, and we're going to change this on step 15. We're going to change this column to 1. Okay, and then it says with these still selected, we're going to center align it. And then I'm going to click after the word choices, and I'm going to press the Enter key. Okay, kind of evens out my section break right there. Okay, and it should look something similar to this right now. Save as Checking Choices Final. Okay, save. Alrighty. I'm on page 104, and this is our last step. So I can close out of this document. I don't need it. I'm going to open up the layout document. Info tech. Oops. Cancel. Data files. Undo. Lesson 5. Layout. Can close out of this. Click Enable Editing. On the View tab, select the Grid Lines checkbox. On the Insert tab, click the Text Box button, and we're going to choose Draw Text Box. So I want to draw a text box that looks similar to that, so I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to draw it similar to that. Okay. Now, it says that we need to drag the we're going to click on this other text box, click on the left text box to select it, and we're going to drag this up till about right here. Okay. Then when I click this create link button, I just hid that text. This text is going to show up over in this other text box. Okay. And voila, I'm done. Save as lesson 5. I'm going to save it as box layout. Save your work and then go ahead and turn in your assignments into Schoology.